quote here from Idris Shah's The Way of the Sufi. It's sentences from the Kajagan. So I think this was from the Naqshbandi order.
Naqshbandi is the way I heard it pronounced, but what do I know?
Naqshbandi.
Yeah.
And this one is from Farmadi. Experience of extremes is the only way towards the proper working of the mean in study.
Whoa, thank you. He said that?
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's very, very good. I think that's true on so many levels. Experience of the extremes is part of good study. Is that close of a... Read it exactly, please.
Yeah, it's the exact wording that's what got me. Experience of extremes is the only way.
Only way, good. Even better.
Towards the proper working of the mean in study.
I mean, see what I mean? These guys are like genius. Okay, so how could one articulate the following? It's by immersing yourself so deeply in one direction that you lose track of all the others, that you get what you need from that direction. And if you work in the same extreme way in the opposite direction, you'll get what you need in order to get what you need from that direction. And when these two directions are operating together, like the fear of death and the love of life, for example, just something out of my head. So it's the only way to get that proper mean. Because if you just go, I'm just going to go lukewarm into this. I'm going to go lukewarm into the let's say the Tao Te Ching, and then I'm going to go lukewarm into meditation, and then I'm going to go from this lukewarm teacher to another lukewarm teacher, and now I'm going to do sitting meditation for 2 or 3 years, and then I'm going to walk around and do walking meditation lukewarm. Everything's lukewarm. And so better to have that guy. Remember I told you that crazy guy who decided, if one aspirin was good, 1,000 aspirin would be greater. And so he goes off to meditate in the woods by himself alone with no provisions for, months or whatever. So he learned something very valuable, right? And also the person who, so that would be that's my immediate response to that quotation. I don't know, is there a context around it?
I'm sure there's a greater
Okay,
context.
so let me see if I can make it simpler. You're trying to teach a field goal kicker. All right, he needs to be in shape. So he has to run, he has to run around the field 500 times in a week. He doesn't need that to kick a field goal, but he needs it for his, for his cardiovascular system. So he's going to be right perfect when the time comes. And you teach him to kick at, 75 yards, right? Or you put weights on the ball, or you put weights on his legs, and you have him work at the extreme, right? Then when you take those things off, and now he only needs to kick at 40, let's say 30 yards, 40 yards. He can't kick as hard as he can kick. He doesn't kick as delicately as he can kick, because you also taught him precision kicking, at 10 yards. And so it's somewhere between the balance of those two. You get exactly what you need when under pressure. The whole game, the Super Bowl's resting on his shoulders and the crowd's going wild, right? His heart would be pounding out of his chest, but it's well conditioned. His strength would fail him, but he knows he can do this because he practiced at 70 yards, right? And he knows how to aim because he's also practiced at 10 yards and getting it through a little tire. And so now these two extremes, in the mean, they work perfectly. Something like that. I don't know if that helps or harms or whatever, but I think that, is there any more context? Because I love it. That's gorgeous.
Could you do a Dharma studies example?
Yeah, so let's say, the one that pops to mind is I recall after a period of intense meditation, contemplation, study. I mean, intense. I hadn't eaten in a long time either. I'd lost a lot of weight. But so I decided I'd drive to a taqueria. So I'm driving to the taqueria, and then I realized, wait a minute, there's nothing holding this road up. And so I'm driving, and I realize that it's all, the road is being held up by just air. It's all imaginary, right? I'd gone too far in one direction. So I'm literally driving petrified that the whole thing is going to collapse and I'm going to die, right? Right? So that was too far in that direction, right?
Yeah, emptiness, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I could barely drive, right? I mean, it gets worse than that. Then, and I'm very, very, very sensitive. So what happens? Of course, I'm so freaked out. Somehow or another, I lock myself out of my truck and the alarm goes off. I mean, really, and I can't get back in the truck. And so here I am in this imaginary world with nothing holding it up. I'm ready to fall into the oblivion, you know, when the whole thing gives out because it's just a thought. And this car horn is just like pounding the hell out of my psyche, and all my nerves are raw. You know, I've been in complete quiet for weeks. So that was extreme. But now, when I contemplate emptiness, I don't have the same problem. That's an example that just comes to mind.
No, yeah, that's it, yeah.
And I would say it's necessary. Was it unpleasant? Horribly. You're talking about hell. That is hell on earth. So you don't take the shell off the turtle unless you have another way to protect it, right? So that's something else people need to know about, and that's another reason for a guide or some guidance or some consultation with folks and study, because you can put yourself through a lot of unnecessary hell. But this one I'd say was necessary, although I'd never recommend it to anybody. I've been scared a few times in my life, but never as scared as this that I can think of. And then yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, meditation seems like sunshine and rainbows, and we're all just trying to get happy. But if you actually know what this work entails, it's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Correct, and that's why I say some courage is required. But I can't say that absolutely.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that way. And yeah, this is the adventure of a lifetime. You don't give up anything by going down this path. So on the contrary, everything's just much better. But that includes the spills and the chills and the thrills and all that other stuff. But it's not boring. If you think it's boring, you're not doing it enough.